Business writing is any type of writing you do in the course of your business. It includes everything from emails to business letters to reports. Even if you don't think of yourself as a writer, these forms of written communication are essential to master. For most types of business writing, the purpose is to convince the reader to take a specific action. To do this effectively, your writing must be simple. Use a conversational style without technical jargon. Clear. Be clear about the purpose of your message. Concise. Leave out wordy phrases and meaningless expressions. And complete. Include all the necessary information. The ability to write well in any business situation is an invaluable skill, and it's something many people struggle with. In this mini course, you'll learn the 5 most common mistakes people make in their business writing and how you can avoid them.
Mistake number 1, not knowing your audience. A good writer knows their audience. This is true of all types of writing, and it's especially relevant to business writing. You should be able to adapt your content and tone to the specific audience you're writing for. You need to speak the audience's language. There are certain words and phrases your audience uses. They speak at a certain level of formality. You should be writing the same way to ensure your words resonate with them. When you haven't taken time to identify your audience, you will have trouble writing to them in a way they can understand. You won't know what information they already have, and you won't be sure of the information they will need. To avoid this mistake, start by identifying your audience. You may be writing to a customer, a team member, or the CEO of your company. What information will they need? This will determine the level of detail. The CEO will want a general overview of a project. He's not interested in the details. The team working on the project will need those details. What information do they already have? If you're not sure, err on the side of over-explaining. It's better to be too clear than to leave out something important. So before you write, identify your audience and the level of knowledge they have about your topic. Keep this knowledge in mind as you write your business documents. Mistake number 2, poor planning. Even a short email requires some planning to make it as effective and impactful as possible. You should always take some time to plan and figure out the structure of what you're going to write before you start writing. Here are some mistakes you might be making with planning and structure. Neglecting the introduction. This happens when you jump right into your topic with no introduction. Always start the text in a clear, concise way that sets up the rest of your writing for success. If you're having trouble, it often helps to write your introduction after you've written your main content. If the various parts of your writing don't fit together or move logically from one to the other, then your writing lacks flow. This often happens if you don't first look at the big picture and plan accordingly before writing. Avoid writing that is too long, too repetitive, and includes unnecessary information. This will only serve to distract the readers from your main point. If this is the case, rewrite so it's less wordy. One way to eliminate these writing issues is to start with an outline. This gives you a big picture view of what you're going to say. With an outline, you can select an appropriate order, move things around, add or remove parts, and so on. You essentially pre-write before you write, which ensures your writing will be smooth and consistent. Your outline doesn't have to be formal or complex. It could be notes jotted down in a logical order or bullet points. You can even use a mind map. What's most important is that it is effectively organized. You'll know you have a good outline when it includes all the information your reader needs. Mistake number 3, writing mistakes. Spelling and grammar mistakes are a big deal. These errors make you look unprofessional, which can undercut your goal of establishing credibility. You'll lose trust in your reader's eyes, which is something no writer wants. Some common writing mistakes include misspelled words, words used incorrectly, incorrect punctuation and capitalization, missing words, repeated information, and incomplete sentences. To avoid this mistake, use a reference. Choose a trusted reference such as Merriam-Webster to check when you're unsure about a word's spelling or punctuation rules. It doesn't matter what source you choose as long as you choose one and are consistent with it. Edit and proofread twice. Don't just rely on spell check. Always take the time to edit and proofread what you wrote, even for a simple email. You'll catch obvious mistakes you didn't notice when you were writing. Know your mistakes. There are certain common errors that trip up even the most skilled writers. Try to be aware of where you tend to make mistakes in your own writing, especially those that you make repeatedly. Don't repeat yourself. If you feel like you're often repeating certain words and phrases, try to cut these down by using alternatives. Use the search function in your word processor to find exactly how many times you've used a certain word or phrase. Substitute the repetitive word with synonyms. You can use a thesaurus for this if you get stuck. Use another pair of eyes. Have someone else look at your text. You can hire a professional proofreader or just have someone you trust read through your work. Having a fresh pair of eyes on your text helps a lot, since they'll catch things you didn't even notice. Mistake number 4, lack of clarity. Clarity is essential in all types of business writing. You have important information to communicate, so you need to ensure you're getting your point across clearly. Here are some things that can wreck your writing's clarity. Run-on sentences. Overly long or run-on sentences make your text difficult to read. If you have too many or not enough commas, the reader will forget what you're talking about by the time they reach the end. Jargon refers to specialized words within a topic or industry that anyone outside the field may not understand. Using jargon in your writing requires the reader to do too much thinking, which can present a barrier to understanding. As I mentioned earlier, if you're not sure how much your audience knows about a subject, it's better to over-explain than to leave out important information. There may be cases where what you're trying to convey just doesn't work in a text-based format. It may be impossible to explain clearly just using words. To avoid these mistakes, try breaking up your sentences in a logical place with a period and separating them into 2. Keep your sentences short. You'll end up with more sentences, but your writing will be much easier to digest. Cut out any unnecessary jargon in your writing. For some pieces, it may be necessary and appropriate to use jargon. When this happens, make sure to explain each term when you first introduce it. Afterward, you can use the word as is. You may want to include some background, but what if it gets in the way of your flow? One way around this is to include a website for more information or add notes at the end of your text. This way, a person who's less familiar with the information can quickly and easily learn about it. If you're trying to explain a complicated process, you might opt to create an image to demonstrate it. For example, statistical data tends to work better as a visual. Use these visuals to accompany your text and help your readers better understand the subject. For complex communications, sometimes it's better to simply pick up the phone than try to explain something over email. Mistake number 5, no call to action. Many forms of business writing involve urging people to take action. You may be writing to inform someone, but usually you're trying to get the person on the other end to do something. You might need to ask for a response or feedback. You might be trying to get someone to convert to your point of view. It may be a negotiation where you're trying to get the other party to accept your terms and conditions. You may be helping your audience to solve a problem and giving them actionable tips to do that. In addition to the information you provide in your text, you also need to tell the reader exactly what to do. To avoid this mistake, be sure your text has a clear call to action at the end so the reader knows what to do. Business writing is an essential skill for anyone in business. Learning just a few good techniques can help you reach your goals, whether it's more effective management of your employees or getting your audience to buy. Here is a recap of the things you need to do for effective business writing. Identify your audience. Plan your writing. Proofread. Keep your writing clear. Include a call to action. Even if you're not a self-proclaimed writer, don't give up hope. At the end of the day, good writing is all about good communication. If you can learn how to communicate effectively through text, you're as good as any professional writer out there. Want to learn more about how to develop the essential business writing skills you need for success? Check out my full course at the link below.